We had a very eventful first day of the tournament. The competition is so fierce that every board, every game is so intense. The ratings are so close together that any game can go either way. The results have been pretty on the expected side because the top seeds are still on the top, and you can see a nice distribution of rating here. But the games have been very fierce, very closely fought. I'm going to show you three positions from today. The first position I'm going to show you is from this game, Arush versus Purvita. In this position, Purvita played a knight d8, and here she accepted the draw offer from Arush. You can understand why she accepted it because white she was afraid the white king is too close. The king will be able to come this way and take this pawn, and she was afraid she could lose it even. Like if white is able to take both the pawns, will white be able to win? That was the thought. There was a lot of time on the clock for her. There was 20 minutes for her, 22 for her opponent. So the time was never the issue. It was just the position and the fear of losing that made her accept the draw. Or maybe she thought there's nothing to play because the king will take the pawns. Maximum she'll get is a draw. But in this position, if she had put her mind to it and really wanted the win, she could have found it. This is a win for black. Black can easily win this. Of course, there has to be some will and mental strength and some thought to find the win, but it is there. White is up by a piece and a pawn. Let me just show you how black can win this. Did I say white wins? No, right? Yeah, she could have won this. Black could have won this. So here, let's just imagine the line that we can expect: King b6, right? Going after the pawn, going to c7 and then taking on b7. How can black win this? Black king is too far away. Black can simply play a move like king g7 or king g6, anything. And if white goes king c7, there is a nice move that wins for black. Can you find it? In this position, it's black to play and win. It's not really a move, it's the idea. The idea to win here is right there. What can black do to win this position? Black can simply ignore this threat and go king f6 and come closer to the pawns. White cannot take it. That's the idea. If white takes, then there is b6, not b5. b5 will not do anything. It does not win. It's a draw because you cannot create a pass pawn without allowing white a pass pawn. b6 wins because the king cannot come back and touch the pawns because a5. And that's it. If king takes, then pawn takes pawn and black wins. If pawn takes, still the king is too far. One step closer, but still far away. And this is how black should have won the game. But in this position, after knight d8, Purvida accepted the draw offer. She could have waited for her opponent's move. Normally, when somebody offers a draw, what you do is you wait for that person to make the move, and the draw offer is still on the table. You can accept it or reject it after his move also. Like here, if Arish offered a draw, she could wait for his move. That way, she could have thought a little bit more and tried to find the win, but she did not, and it ended in a draw. The second position I'm going to show you is some very interesting mistakes by Asmi. As you can see in this position, white is a full knight up, but the king side is a little vulnerable because of rooks and the queen are looking at the king side. G3 pawn is a little weak, H3 is a little weak. Because of these pawn pushes, it's a little unsafe for the king. But it's nothing that white cannot manage. But here, Aspi makes some mistakes, actually, one common mistake that changes the position. A mistake that many people make in a position. She played h4, thinking the pawns are safe, queen's attacked, queen is kicked back, queen has to go to h5 or g4, and then you can, not g4, knight takes. h5 was the only square. Here, it's almost trapped, right? The queen is trapped. But then she overlooked the move, queen takes pawn. Generally, you don't want to push pawns on this side. That is not how you defend. You have to get your pieces, and that's how you defend against the attack. If you push pawns on the side you're being attacked, it will make it easier for the opponent. Here, there is a straightaway tactical reply to h4, and that's queen takes pawn. Of course, the pawn cannot take because it's pinned. So, rook f1. The pawn is still pinned. So Nandita plays queen h3, queen e2. So this is a move that Asmi should have played first instead of h4. Just get the pieces closer to her king and defend. Rook g5. Now the same mistake is repeated. She plays g4 thinking it is safe, pawn is protected twice, it's attacked twice. But there's a king behind it. And when you push pawns, you make the position more vulnerable. And Nanda immediately pounces with h5. f3. Now comes a very stunning move. Knight takes, and here comes a stunning move by Nanda. She strikes with rook takes knight, making the position winning. There is a win in the position for black now. King is completely open. You need a way for black to get here, get the checkmate or get the queen. So after pawn takes, there is a winning move here for black. Can you find it? Can you find the winning move here for black? She played rook h6, which is not good. I mean, it makes some threats, but it's not enough. You're down a full rook now, right? Because you're down a piece and then you exchanged of a rook for a knight. So she is a rook down as Nandita. So she had to find the winning move here. Can you find it? The winning move is queen g3. Of course, king cannot go here because of rook h6. King goes here, rook h6 is mate in the next move. And after queen g3, queen g2, then comes queen e3. And again, the king is forced to go back. If rook blocks, let me show you the line. Queen g3. If king moves here, immediate mate. Checkmate, right? And if queen blocks, then queen e3. The rook cannot block because of queen takes c1. She gets back the material and the attack. And if king moves, again the same thing happens. Checkmate. Same thing. If king h1 also, you lose the queen, right? Queen h2 and rook takes queen and the attack continues. So this is the win that, and if queen f2, then what to do? Queen f2, queen f2, it's a free piece, free queen. Rook takes queen and rook cannot even take back because it's two hands. So this is a move that Nandita missed in the position. She thought queen g3, queen g2 is just an exchange of queens and there's nothing more. But there was more. Queen e3 and the rook was hanging because rook f2 is impossible because the rook is hanging. So after this, she played rook h6 with Nandita and Asmi replied with queen g2. Now her position is safe, but her time was very less. She had less than a minute in this position. And here Nandita has a nice draw. After queen f2, Nandita can simply go back to h3, and after queen g2, she can repeat. But Nandita decides that she wants to win. But there is no way to win. I mean, the position is too solid for white. So she should have taken the draw with queen e3 and repeat. Of course, rook f2 is impossible because rook hangs. And queen f2, same thing, queen h3, and there's a mate coming. Queen g2 is forced, and then back here. This was a draw that she had, but she goes for queen h4. She must have thought there is some winning ideas here, threats here, king is not safe, but you only have two pieces, so she should have taken the draw. Here, Asmi is very low on time. She just brings a rook up, rook here, defending the pawn, and then rook f1, pawn f6. And she's down to her last few seconds, like less than 30 seconds here. And she plays rook f5, queen check, rook comes back. And here, after rook g5, she accepts a draw offer from Nandita. It's a rook up, but there was very little time to play on. So what she should have done a few moves back. For Asmi to win this, she didn't have to play rook f5. She had to just play queen f3, defend the pawn, and slowly get the pieces up. There'll be no checks here. Queen d2 is not a problem. So this was how she could have tried to win, but I understand there was very less time. She made the safe and practical choice of taking the draw. So that was a very interesting few moments in the game, which ended in a draw. So we had two draws here, both by agreements. Now the third position that I'm going to show you is a pawn race. I'll take it from here in this position. Samartha plays a nice move g6, probably thinking he's going to trap the knight. Knight takes, and how do you defend the knight after king moves? The knight is trapped, right? But Sai finds a very good defense for that knight. He plays f4. So that after rook moves, there is g5, and the knight is defended. It's out of play, but it's still defended. But now black's pieces are active, rook is active, knight's active. He's getting a pawn for sure. After g5, rook takes pawn, rook moves, and b5. Now things become, it becomes a pawn race. White wants to create a passed pawn. Black can easily create one by playing a5, a4, b4, and b3. And black pieces are active. So Sai brings his knight back into civilization. And then Samartha takes the time to take one more pawn. Now Samartha 2 passed pawns. It's a winning position. Sai plays knight e5, Samartha exchanges it, and then goes for rook d2, rook c5, and the pawn starts rolling. White needs his own pawn to start running down the board. He goes for e6, and here Samartha calculated the position well and went for b3, allowing e7. But then, can he find the winning move? Just b2. Letting white queen first, but if white queens first, then white gets checkmated first, right? So this was a nice pawn race with rooks on the board, with a nice checkmate in the end. Samartha's opponent resigned here. Let's see who was his opponent. 1 second. Yeah, it was Sai Viban. Sai resigned here. So basically, the line is if you queen, just checkmate. So I did not get a chance to look at many positions. I just started to look at a few positions, and these are the highlights of the day. First one was a missed win, a draw agreed. Second one was a very nice attack, which could have gone in either side's favor, but again draw agreed. And third position was a pawn race won by Samartha. So the tournament is set for a very good final day. Anything can happen. It's a very closely fought tournament. It's all about who does well and has the mental strength to do it on the second day, the tournament.